Hi guys, this is Liam Andrews from Futsal Great Britain Association. We've had a few hiccups this morning with technical problems, so I am trying to fix them as we speak. But thank you very much for tuning in. I will be fixing these issues whilst the video is playing, so I don't want to let last out any longer. So thank you very much for anyone who's tuning in right now. Today's video is going to be on 2v2 either training sessions or 2 versus 2 or 2 versus 2 training drills. So yeah, just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that is currently live with us, and I do apologize, like I said before, about the hiccups we've had this morning with technical problems. Thank you for everyone who is live with us again. The numbers are starting to rise up, which is fantastic. So shall we get into it? Let's go. Let's get it. So we're gonna go into the different colors. We'll just change things over a little bit. We'll change the design as well. Everyone who's been watching the videos knows the designs that I like by now. We'll go in here. Thank you for everyone who's been watching my videos over the last couple of days as well. I am so excited that we have actually got to 50 followers already. So, okay, I just want to break a few things down for a second. There is loads and loads of different ways of doing 2 versus 2, okay? I'm just going to change the design here as well for the other team. Hang on, change the appearance first. Yeah, so there is so many different ways of doing 2 versus 2. I know a lot of teams will give them a slightly different design. Turn that to blue. No, actually, no, we won't, because that will clash with the keeper. We'll just go green. Okay, so like I said, there's so many different ways of doing 2 versus 2, and I want to break some of them down. So sometimes you can do 2v2 without a goalkeeper. Sometimes you can do 2v2 with a goalkeeper. That doesn't necessarily mean it's 3 versus 3, because sometimes, like all coaches, they don't always, you know, look at the goalkeeper as being a number. But you can if you want to. So for now, I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to show you with a goalkeeper on some of the stuff that I would look for in a 2 versus 2. Now, before we start, I think it's really important to notice that there are loads of variations, loads of different things that you can teach within 1v1s, and it's so important that you try and do as much as you can. Hi Harvey and hi Darius, thank you for commenting in the chat. But yeah, so anyway, let's get into the 2v versus 2s. 2 seconds. Okay, I'm just getting the comments up on my phone just so I can see any possible chats and stuff. Okay, so we'll go into the animation board. Basic 2v2s to start with. Get rid of that one. Okay, so certain things I'm looking for. There are basics that we need to be aware of. When you have the ball, can you make the pitch big? When we are defending, how do you make the pitch small and create angles to try and stop goals being conceded? So if a player is shutting the ball down, you need some angles to stop the pass to the going diagonally to go forward, but also down the middle, because if player 2 now makes a run down the wing, we do not want it to go straight down the middle, because then that's in the danger zone. Player 4 has got loads to think about here. either show inside if there's dominance of players in here. If not, show them out wide, because that's the less chance that they will be that they'll have in order to score. So player 4 can pass it to the keeper if he wants, but let's say for futsal rules he can only play it once back to the keeper until the opposition has touched it. If you are just using this as a football drill, the keeper can touch it as many times as they want, and I'd probably encourage the keeper to touch it as much as possible. Right, player 4 has now got the ball. Let's go to the next frame. Player 4 needs to try and get the green player number 4 off balance. So I'd always be encouraging, when you're running with the ball, try a few twists and turns to get that player number 4 off balance. So we're just going to do a couple of those. From a defensive point of view, I'd always be saying to player number 4 in the green, just keep jockeying him, slow him down, slow the pace of what he's doing. And you'll be fine. It's really important when you are in a 1v1 situation, which is this is in a 1v1 situation at the moment, that you don't start diving in, because the moment that becomes a 2 versus 1, it becomes very, very difficult in full size goals and things. So he needs to stay on his feet. He needs to try and jockey and hold off the play. Okay, so player 4 has been taken off balance. Let's say player number 4 has just backed off a little bit. He's created the space to switch the play, which is one of the things that I do actively encourage for the attacking teams, because just like dribbling, going from side to side, is to try and get them off balance. Also possession, passing the ball. I think I read Pep Guardiola used to always say, you don't pass to move the ball, you pass to move the opposition. So if you're moving the opposition, you're disorganising them a lot. So player number 4 is going to switch the ball to try and now disorganise them. Player 2 is going to try and shut the ball, and the same principles apply. Try and show him out, because we haven't got dominance in the middle. And player 4 is going to sit diagonally, because we do not want that pass down the middle to player number 4. Now the difference here, now player 4 has passed the ball. Now I'm going to get him to think about cuts, which cuts are forward runs. So we're going to talk at the moment, we could talk about a block cut where he's trying to block and pick and roll and go into space, or player 4 can make a parallel cut, which is parallel to the ball, or he can make a diagonal cut, which is diagonal to the ball. So for this one, I'm going to say he's going to go for a parallel cut, and the ball is going to go in to player 4. The defending team now have got to do what I would call a revolving door. Player 4, it's really important for him to shut down. Player 2 to use the revolving door to try and cover his runs. And player 2 is now going to create a diagonal cut. Okay, now I'm obviously just, instead of doing this tactically as how I'd like them to play or whatever, I'm just trying to show you some of the techniques of what I would incorporate in the 2v2 situations. Player number 4 has now got into the stage where player 2 has slightly forgotten his man here. So player 4 needs to be aware of that. Dribble straight into the middle. And now he's found his back post option. And then he shoots. He scores. Golazzo! So, what have we spoken about so far? We're going to break this down really slowly, just so we can go for it. Making the pitch big. Width and depth is really important. In 2v2s, it is a little bit harder. Keeping them off balance with dribbling, moving side to side. A little bit of lapse of concentration from the greens. And player 4 has now been able to switch play with not much danger of losing the ball, and he's now making a parallel cut to the ball. Player 2 is shutting down and player 4 is creating angles. Player 2 is now playing a parallel pass and now making a diagonal cut to the ball. This is, again, we're passing the ball to try and disorganise the opposition. Player 2 in the green hasn't tracked back to watch player 2's movement to the post, and with that lapse of concentration, our next technique we speak about a lot in our 2v2s is the sweaty goal option of passing it to the back post for a tap in. So now you've seen that in slow motion, we're just going to speed it up a little bit, making the pitch big, dribbling to get the defender off balance. Can we now do a team disorganisation by, switching the play, moving the opposition? They've now passed it. They're making a diagonal cut, dribble in, straight through the middle with a lack of concentration from the greens, and a back post sweaty. Okay, so we will carry on now. So the greens will be the attacking team. The reds will come back to defend. And we'll start from the goalkeeper. So the goalkeeper's throwing it out to the green. The green is now going to do a few other things that we've spoken about previously. The greens are now going to do some things that we haven't spoken about previously, so you can get a few more techniques of what I would work on in a 2 versus 2 situation. So the ball's been played into player 4 now. Player 4 is going to straight away pass this time. Now player 2 is going to try and shut the ball down, and player 4 is going to still have that defensive cover to stop that in case 4 cuts and makes a diagonal cut. But this time, player 4 is going to block. Okay, if you don't, if you haven't seen this in basketball, this happens a lot. You might pass it, block, so player 2 is safe. Similar to American football, where you're getting shielders, screening the space, trying to block the defender from getting near the person who's obviously precious with the ball. So player 4 has blocked player 2 in the red to get the ball. Now player 2 has got a choice. He can start dribbling into space here or going down the wing. Player 4 can also pick and roll that, so he can roll the defender now and then receive the ball from player 2. Player 4 has got a pivotal role to keep his concentration, to make sure that he's keeping an eye on what player 2 does, because if player 2 does shoot into here, player 4 needs to try and delay a potential pass going out wide to number 4 and the 1v1 situation of beating him and then going 1v1 with the keeper. So his concentration needs to be on point. Even though he's covering, he needs to be aware of any of the space of player 2 coming in. Player 2 needs to just not rush too much, because if player 2 starts gambling to come out here, player 2 can go on the wide. If player 2 comes out here, you potentially could be in a serious danger there with a 2v1 against player number 4 in the red. Okay, so we're going to say, for argument's sake, player 2 is going to pass it into player 4. He's held the ball up well, and now player 2 is going to make a diagonal cut, but he's not going to create us a huge amount of width. So this is going to be more of a quick 1-2. So we do speak a lot about 1-2s and things like that when we are playing as well. So yeah, pick and roll him. He's looking for that quick round the corner pass, turn, getting ready to go. So we've already spoken about, instead of making parallel and diagonal cuts, making huge width, and now we're doing a shorter distance of run to try and do a round the corner pass and a 1-2 pass. So 1-2s can also be very paramount in the way that you're playing. Similar to what we said about the trapdoor defending, player 4 is now got to shut off the angle of player 4 in the green and player 2. So player 4 has got to show the green out wide, and player 2 has got to try and recover the trapdoor. But obviously player 4, we're just going to say he's going to get there because we don't want it to be too unrealistic where he gets into perfect defending positions, because realistically he won't. Player 2 has passed and is making a diagonal cut to the ball towards the post now, and player 2 has now recovered and he is in the right position. Player 4 is getting a little bit closer to try and show him out wide, or to just try and delay him where he is now. Okay, so player 4 is on the ball. Player 4 for the red is just delaying, and the next thing I want to talk about is the Moroccan dribble. Now, the Moroccan dribble is really, really important to putting the sole on the ball, and basically you're taking really small touches with the ball, taking the ball backwards. This allows you to delay the defender from shutting you down fast, or if he does shut you down fast, you can just roll him, roll the ball to the side or roll it through his legs. But it gives you a nice way. It's a really good technique that I use with my players on a regular basis, that if they're using the Moroccan dribble, sole on the ball, tiny little touches going backwards, they can view the pitch. Okay, how many players get their head down, they're trying to do these skills, or trying to run in behind, or trying to pass, and they've got their head down on the floor? It gives you a nice way of taking loads of touches on the ball, observing what's around you on the pitch, and then you can make your choice. And sometimes as well, it makes the it's another opportunity to disorganize the defenders and make them lose a bit of concentration. You're just bringing it back, and they're going, okay, he's going back, and all of a sudden accelerate into space, and that is what green number 4 is going to do here. He's going to quickly accelerate into space here. Okay, red number 4 didn't see it coming. Keeper's going to have to do some stuff here, and obviously I'm manipulating this to show you some of the things that I would speak about. And what I'd like to see for the green in this situation is a cheeky little lob in order to score a goal. So these are other things that I would speak about in regards to the attacking team. I would expect, you know, round the corner passes, Moroccan dribbles, parallel cuts, diagonal cuts, plenty of sole control, pick and rolls, blocks, chips on the keeper if the keeper comes out. All of these are valuable to a futsal player and also a football player. If you've seen some of the best football teams, when they're rotating in the middle, you will see blocks, not necessarily intentionally. When I watched Barcelona at the Nou Camp last couple of months, that was, I want to say that was in maybe February, March. I noticed their wing backs would do that a lot. No, sorry, the centre halves or the wing backs. If the centre half pass it to the wing back, they would then make a diagonal cut and block the defender getting it, and then the wing backs would cut in or pass it to someone else. And if the wing back did it to the winger, they would also cut across for an underlapping run, or just to block the defender trying to tackle the winger, so the winger could cut in, or even play it out wide to the fullback to bomb on. So this is really prominent in football as well as futsal, especially at the highest level. You also see midfielders rotating with each other, doing blocks and cuts and things like that as well. So for football and futsal, this is really important. Okay, so the players have now got the ball for the red team. Red team need to get out wide to create the width. Greens are now going to be a little bit more defensive. Remember, making the pitch small for the defenders, making the pitch big for the attackers. Now this won't always work. Sometimes you will have teams that will man mark like that. In football, I would recommend the keeper just to come out in this instance to try and tease them out. Okay. Hi mate, hi, greetings from Portugal. Do you have the option to change the players from the t-shirt to a player so he can explain to the team which foot they need to receive a pass to the ball? Oh, really good question. And don't worry about your English, mate. Your English is going to be better than my Portuguese. I'm in the middle of trying to learn Spanish at the moment. So yeah, with World Cup to Spain and being part of AMF with a lot of Spanish, South American-based people, I need to learn Spanish. But in regards to the foot, to be honest with you, if I was going to take it out, I would probably use some of the lines, to be honest with you, and maybe speak about, you know, maybe that side of the box or this side of the box. That could be right foot, that could be left foot, as an example. But you can change the animation where it is a little bit more obvious. So just for you, I hope that's Kika. Is that how will you pronounce your name, Kika? I'm just going to go to 3D. Because if you're playing 3D here, this will make it a lot more obvious for you. So you can see the feet here in 3D. Obviously, they're starting to dribble the play here, passing it, making their cuts. So they have got the footwork. The only thing is with the animations, because obviously TacticalPad is still very new to the animation side of things. It's not as developed as maybe a FIFA game, as an example. But they are using their feet. I would be using this as a one-to-one basis with players. If you want to go into details about what footwork to receive it on and things like that, yes, you can see the feet. And again, you can use special effects that you can use to trail their, you know, connect players together. I haven't used all of these things yet. You can actually make the players bigger as well. So if I want to enlarge my players, then that might make it a bit obvious of, you know, saying, right, you need to receive it on this foot, on that foot. I can make my players bigger again. If you really want to emphasize it. So should we just have a look at what the animation looks like when they're absolutely massive? So let's go back to number 1. So you can talk about footwork. See, now even though it sounds strange because you've got like people that are really massive on a pitch, sometimes this is quite a good way to actually really make your point clear on what you want to teach. So yeah, so in regards to let me read your comment again. Hi, greetings from Portugal. Do you have the option to change the players from the t-shirt to a player so he can explain to the team which foot they need to receive the pass of the ball? So yeah, so hopefully that answered your question, Kika. By having the 3D animation, you can see their feet rather than a 2D image, which obviously makes a big difference. But again, the ball's not really sticking to one foot or the other. That could be something that TacticalPad could develop over the next couple of years. You know, but everyone's got to start somewhere, I guess, and this software is fantastic. So should we have a look at what it looks like? We'll slow it down a little bit to a 1 in 3D. So let's talk it through to the players. We can go into a bit more detail with what footwork they're going to use as well. So, you know, when you're dribbling, I'd be talking about both feet here. You could also be using the sole, using your hips to try and pretend to go one way, go in the other. See, as you saw then when he passed, it didn't actually touch his feet, so it is hard, but you can get there. There is really funky ways of getting them to kick it and stuff, but maybe I'll have to work on my TacticalPad knowledge as well a little bit. The block, what foot would he want to receive it there? Obviously if he's turning here and here, it depends on what foot he'd want to receive it, but I would be actively encouraging the sole of the foot when he receives it in there. It'd be nice to see if we could get a lob in there as well, just to over exaggerate the lob. You know, what foot would you use to lob him there? Depends on the angles and things like that. So yeah, thank you for your comment, Kika. Hopefully that helped things for you. Does anyone have any questions about the 2 versus 2 at the moment that you would want me to break down into a bit more detail, or would you like me to go straight into a different session? Leave your comments in the below. I'm just gonna remove I'm gonna remove all the animations. Any questions on the 2 versus 2 session? And does anyone have any questions about what we spoke about so far? Thank you very much who is viewing the video at the moment. Your viewership is very much appreciated, and keep getting those comments in. Just deleting some of these animations, so if any of you have any questions, leave them below just before I finish. If you don't leave any comments, obviously I'll just make the decision what to do next. So any questions about what we've spoken about, just leave them in the comments, or if there's any sessions that you want me to break down into for 2v2, also leave that in the comments below. Nice to see someone is from Portugal in the chat as well. Okay, so no comments at the moment, so I'm going to make the decision to make a training session. So for this training session, I'm going to get rid of the goalkeepers. So I want to now work on 2 versus 2 without the goalkeepers, okay? Now, what we've got to realise here, this is a full court, but let's say you've made your court a lot smaller, you know, a 10 by 10 or a 20 by 20. If you really want to be good, 5 by 5, depending on what the outcomes you want to achieve, really. So please bear in mind the space isn't going to be huge here. It might look big on here, but that's more to make it obvious for you guys. Okay, so before we go into the next session with without goalkeepers, I'm just going to run a quick ad, so please stay tuned. This gives any of you more chance. If you want to leave a comment below, you can, and if any of you need my help for any reason, you can also do that as well. So yeah, so I hope you're enjoying the video so far, and we will be getting into some more stuff in a minute. I am gonna buy, by the way, a new internet cable, because my internet seems to be a little bit slower today. I've just recently got rid of my other one, so yeah. Okay, so I am still getting used to this, by the way. This is my first stream doing it completely and entirely on my own, so it's always good to try new things, I guess, but it is massively out of my comfort zone trying to do this for the very first time, so your support is very much welcome. I'll tell you what, we won't go for an ad. We will just go straight back into TacticalPad. I was going to run an ad, but a bit too complicated for me at the moment. Right, so player 2. We're going to go into the animation side of things. Now, without a goalkeeper, it is completely different, okay? So, player 4, player 2, get nice and close. Player 2 needs to force something to happen by coming out wide. He's going to take you on a little journey. It is small areas. Trying to get in nice and close. I always say to the keepers, the defenders, try and get close to the ball as much as you can. Okay, the players are going to try new things. You don't want them to cut in here and go in there, so you just stay nice and close. Player 2 as well can also disturb things for the green number 2. I didn't actually speak about this in the last one, but you know, the movement mechanics of things, running up the wing, you could just do a show and go straight into here, but I want to also speak about the actual detail of the run. So when he is running, we want him to be seeing the ball all the time, so he is circulating his run, so when he does come in, he is in there. So I want to break that down into a little bit more finer detail. So we're going to say he comes out here, there, here, here. Sometimes just slowing the animation down can be a lot more beneficial to your players to see that movement mechanics. So he's now going to receive the ball. Let's say he goes for a diagonal cut. Player 2 is trying to make this pitch as small as he can. Now, I don't know about you guys, some players will just smack it straight in the goal. Depending on what outcome you want from the session is whether you allow that or not. Okay, so player 2, for argument's sake, has just smashed in the goal. You can either see that as a negative and say stop shooting long, or you can use it as a way of developing your defenders. So depending on what mood you're in, or what the outcomes of the session you want, it's depending on what you say to your players. So I'd be saying to the player 2 now, you need to get closer to the ball. You weren't close enough to the ball, you've allowed him space to have a shot, he's just shot, no goalkeeper. Because you know, your keeper might have passed it out to you and he's running back, so player 2 is just now taking advantage. So, but obviously if my outcome is, you know, trying to disorganise the opposition before we score, then I would be saying not shooting from there. Again, it's up to what your outcome is. So, the ball's gone in. You can start straight away with the greens and then see how the reds instinctively react. So, player 2 is coming away. He's coming to receive the ball. Player 4 has ignored that and he's decided to go himself. And that's absolutely fine. Futsal is all about transitions. How do you go from attack to defence without losing too much concentration? Now, when you're running at pace, you have got so much more opportunities to disorganise the defence. And the next thing I want to be talking about, and I spoke about in my 2v2 sessions and my 1v1 sessions yesterday, is how to play multi-directional. So you can do a soul roll to go back, Cruyff turns, just rolling it in the areas that you want. But how do you also, you're running at pace. 4 is running back with the speed of light. Player 2 is trying to recover. Now player 4 has decided to do something completely different. He's now playing multi-directional. He's gone forward, he's now gone back, now he's going to the right. Player 2 has bombed on. Player 2 and 4 are getting a little bit more confused now. He's still striving, he's not passing it. Remember, it's not all about pass, 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 pass. Some managers fall into the trap of trying to say all the time, pass, pass, pass. Sometimes there's something in just teaching a kid or an adult to be multi-directional in their movements with the ball. Player 2 is now shutting down. 4 has got a cover. Now get at him. See if you've got the pace. Player 2 is now scrambling. Player 4 has still got a cover. He's got to cover the goal now and player 2. Really important that player 2 is given width here. Now player 4 changes his mind and cuts inside. Player 2 tries to shut the ball. Player 4 comes out now to try and block the pass and anything down the middle. Maybe in here. Player 4 decides to come back again. Pushes the ball out wide. Player 4 swaps. Now in this moment here, all of a sudden they've just had a bit of a loss of concentration. Straight into his feet. And it does happen, by the way. By running with the ball, sometimes you just create a lot of disorganisation within the team. So let's have a look. Shutting the ball down. Good running. Look at the movement mechanics. Good. So he's shone and gone, but he's with a bit more detail in what he's doing. He's shot because player 2 hasn't got close enough, so we're giving that team talk. We've got width and depth again, making the pitch a bit smaller. He's running. Now we want to play multi-directional. It's not all about running in straight lines. It's not just about going back. It's not just about going sideways. I always say to my players, 360 degrees of movement. Sometimes going backwards with the ball is just as important as going forward. So, multi-directional stuff. Now, a multi-directional game I would play as well, with 2v2s as well. So, let's say we get rid of... let's say they come back now. This time, you're allowed to play in both sides, and you're allowed to score in either goal. Ball here. Tell you what, let's start them here. They don't have to do this, by the way. This is just for argument's sake. Boom. Goal. Go. Red shuts down. Green covers this one. So greens have been a bit more defensive. Now you can score in either goal. Okay, how does that now change how the Reds play? 2v1 situation here. So now the outcome of what I want in this session is a 2v1 situation. And playing multi-directional. Multi-directional is the key. If the green stays in this half, it's nice and easy. And you get to emphasise some of your tactics as well. So this player should always be aiming for this post here. The keeper comes, you go that way. Keeper stays there, shoot at the front post. So again, it's emphasising some of the tactics that I would be saying to my players. But let's say, for argument's sake, the player does shut down. Edge of the box. Sorry, not edge of the box, sorry. Back post. Golazo! Green gets the ball. Ball goes back in the middle. You could have keepers for this. I tend to have goalkeepers for this game. As well, if you want to have an outcome of movement off the ball, put 2 goalkeepers in, so I'll do that quickly. Keeper has the ball now. They don't stay on the outside. And you emphasise movement off the ball. So, what would I be saying to my team? Keeper, you do not pass the ball to anybody if they are not working hard off the ball. So, we're actively encouraging them to move off the ball, and also you're creating a little bit of disorganisation within the teams as well, because they're actually thinking about the movement off the ball rather than defending. Maybe your defensive minded players might, but okay, so They've all started moving because they desperately want the ball. Now it's time to switch. The greens are going to panic now. The red has got to bust a gut as much as he can to try and help out. It's really important the red starts driving towards goal to force even more disorganisation within the greens. And this is where the multi-directional comes in. Greens have overly committed now towards straight. So the red player number 4, I didn't want to make this obvious as I did it, but the player 4 decided to stay where he was. Okay, no problem with that. Now he's cutting. Now he's got to defend. Green's got to react. Just by playing multi-directional. The reds are now in pole position to try and score. Remember, player 4 is still aiming to get it in this post. Player is still getting to the back post. Keeper hasn't moved though. He's left that front post, and player 4 has just scored in the front post. It's always important to emphasise some of your tactics within training as well, because it gives the players a bit of stability, it gives the players you know, a little bit of an understanding, and it's good for empowerment as well. So this is another really good multi-directional 2v2 game. It's completely different to your traditional 2 versus 2 that I did at the start, but it is working on multi-directional stuff, which is fantastic. Okay, so that is it from me for the session. I don't want to make it a too long of a live stream, but at 4 o'clock today I will be doing another live stream, and if you want to view my live stream at 4 o'clock, please make sure you follow this channel on Twitch, and it will be another TacticalPad session. I'm just trying to have a look at what I've promised all of you guys. This session was all about 2v2s, and later on is going to be creating players to play multi-directional and how that can benefit the game day performance. So we touched on it a little bit. I've given you a little bit of an indication of how multi-directional movements can affect the game, but my multi-directional stuff at 4 o'clock will be more aimed at how it's going to actually affect the match. This was just 2v2s, and obviously as part of 2v2s I'd always emphasize my tactics within the 2v2s to keep things consistent for my